Greetings, fellow teachers. Happy New Year to you. This is Nina Rodriguez, and this is my channel, Misfit to Teach, where I talk about all things teaching and how to stay mentally, physically, and emotionally fit to teach. So if I've not met you yet, welcome to our community, and be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you and I can come together every week. Winter is here, and in your school district, you've probably already had winter break or are in those beginning days coming back to school, and we are getting ready to rev up for what will be the second semester. Second semester is a really special time, not only because it's the second half of the year and you start to see light at the end of the tunnel, but also because I don't care what district you are, there's so much that goes into the second semester instruction-wise and then testing-wise. And since there's so much going on in the second semester, I think this is also the part of the year where we start to run out of steam. And in running out of steam, I mean things like maybe you're submitting your lesson plans a day or two late. You are really just kind of tapping out when it comes to everything that sort of is sprinkled around your teaching. So how do we do it? How do we stay motivated to stick this out for the long haul in the second semester when everything around us feels like it just wants to crumble? In the second semester, here are just a handful of things that I feel we should all do a better job of keeping at the top of our mind as we go through the rest of these days before we get to spring break, before we get to summer, and before we start planning what we want the following school year to look like. Number one, in the second semester, because we already know that we're gonna start to have to plan and account for so many other things, tutoring, spring sports, SOL testing, or whatever kind of testing they have in your district, I think it's important that we start to get reacquainted with the word no. By implementing no as a regular practice in our teacher vocabulary, we can start to eliminate some of the shiny objects, things that are really just going to dampen our energy and our very precious and limited resources of time that we're going to need in reserves to get through the rest of the year. So I would recommend picking one or two things from here on out now through the rest of the school year to focus on in your classroom and going all in for those one or two things. If you know that you're going to offer after-school tutoring, offer your after-school tutoring, set up, establish concrete hours, and then heck with everything else. If you're like myself and you have you coach a sport, I do outdoor high school track. That's my one thing. Beyond my classroom, my focus is going to be on my student athletes and making sure they are where they need to be for their competitions and meets. Everything else takes a back burner. Number two, we know that our teacher patience has been very tried and tested at this point. We're coming back from winter break and we still have to leave something in the tank to make it for these upcoming days of testing and everything else. All of that being said, it's very important now that we pick and choose our battles and don't sweat the small stuff. It might be really tempting every so often to engage in a battle of wills and a battle of wits with that smart aleck kid in your classroom who sits in the back and feels like it's their job in life to contradict everything you have to say. But we have to ask ourselves, while there's important things coming down the pipeline, is it really worth engaging with little Ryan over every single thing right now? Are we at a point in the school year where we can afford to waste any valuable teaching time and any valuable teacher energy by engaging with little Keisha about why she can't go to the restroom whenever she feels like it? I think we've reached a point in the school year and your students have had time to know you and your routines well enough that you have to accept flaws and missteps and mishaps as they happen and regroup and save your energy for the bigger things that are coming down the pipeline. Show a little bit of grace, not just to your students, but for yourself. If a lesson didn't go as well as you hoped it would, who cares? You're gonna do it all again tomorrow. And when Friday rolls around, you're gonna do it all again on Monday. So regroup, reorganize, re-strategize, pick and choose your battles, forget the rest. Lastly, and this one is just for you, and you are entitled to this one. I don't know why people seem to take the most issue with this. When I've mentioned this before and in previous videos and in other teacher forums, we seem to have a real aversion to anything that involves us taking care of ourselves or prioritizing our well-being over our students until it's too late and we're just ready to quit and walk out of our classrooms. But if you're like me and you're in this for the long haul, this is the time of year where you need to get okay with taking care of yourself and having something to look forward to outside of your classroom. Sometimes knowing that we have something wonderful we're gonna do on the weekend, or even just that we're gonna take a nap when we get home from work, is the only thing that propels us to get through the rest of the day. Ask yourself, what are the areas of your life where you can do a better job saying yes to you and nurturing the parts of your life that often get neglected or fall to the wayside as you're moving through the school year. I think contrary to the popular belief of digging deep and going full throttle, putting your foot on the gas when the new year rolls around and it's January, for me, January is not a time to go full throttle and to go all in 100% for things. In fact, in January, I tend to really be reflective, take a step back, sleep more, or at least prioritize sleep, and be very inward. So if you don't feel like you're in a position right now to go full throttle for your students and for your classroom, I wouldn't recommend that you do it right now at this part of the year anyway. Between February and June, you're gonna have plenty of time to step on the gas and begin to accelerate and gain momentum that'll get you to the end of the year. But for right now, if you feel like you need to take a well-earned nap, I think you're totally justified in doing so. And that goes beyond just simply sleeping. Any form of relaxation and reset that's good for you and that's seasonally appropriate, I would recommend that this is the perfect time of year to do just that. So that's it. That's my very short little list of things to keep in mind as we begin to get into the second semester and we're sort of running out of that teacher energy. Let me know in the comments what you're doing right now too to stay motivated and energized in the second semester. And as always, I look forward to seeing you again really soon. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, do all you can to stay fit to teach. Be well.